This is possibly the hardest DACC meeting, certainly that I've ever been a part of, and probably maybe that we've ever held. After the events of 24 hours ago, we talked about whether we should maybe not hold this meeting tonight. And that conversation included that different people process tragedies in different ways. All of us, I'm sure, process tragedies in different ways. For some people, being in a group or in public feels like the wrong thing to do, and I respect that. Certainly part of me feels that way. For others, being in community and talking, hearing from people who are in positions of leadership and have genuine commitment to the community can be a way through. And that's kind of, I feel like, maybe the only way is through. So I do really appreciate that you all are here and that we will be in community tonight. And I'm going to let Derek in a moment kind of describe what tonight's program will look like. It's going to look a little different than we initially planned, but I'll let Derek describe that. But I would like to open tonight with a moment of silence for us to honor and respect and hold in our hearts the families of Robert Johnson and Jacob Hull. So if you join me in a moment of silence for that, I would appreciate that, and we can all be in community with our thoughts. Thank you. So it is a somber day. It's a somber evening. I do want to let you know two things. At 8 o'clock tonight at the library, a vigil is planned. And of course, we will be done long before then. And so if anyone is so moved, make your way to the library after we finish here. And I will let you know that at the end of the program tonight, Senator Mike McGuire plans to join us, so we can anticipate hearing some words from Senator McGuire. And with that, we're kind of suspending other kinds of normal DACC business and announcements and things like that because we need to kind of respect the moment, I think. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Derek Allsweet.
Thank you, Rich. My name is Derek. I'm the host of this new podcast that we're doing with DACC, where we have a thematic panel here with people from Chico. And today's theme was Chico City Council. So in a way, I'm very glad to have the people here who are here to talk about what happened yesterday. And we have some broad questions that were pre-planned that are still applicable, so we'll go over some of those as well. I'll introduce our panel here. First, she works at the county level in National Resources Management and Wildfire Preparedness and Prevention. She is a Fire Resilience Program Coordinator with the Colusa County Resource Conservation District, and she is running for District 2. Shelby Hebert. Next, she has a political science degree from the University of Missouri. She's a Juris Doctor and an honors certificate in natural resources and environmental law at Lewis and Clark Law School in Portland, Oregon. She has a private practice here in Chico, and she is running in District 6, Megan Thomas Petty. And last but not least, she has an environmental science degree from Humboldt State. She's a transportation planner for Caltrans, Division of Rail, and she is the elected representative on the panel today in the 7th District, Bryce Goldstein. The nature of a podcast, it's a free-flowing conversation, so we'll open it up and see where today takes us. Megan, if you don't mind starting with you, would you mind sharing just your thoughts and emotions after yesterday?
Well, I had been in communication with DACC and with Derek, and I was of the opinion that we should postpone the podcast recording this evening out of respect to give us time to process as a community. When I was in communication with them, we hadn't even heard who the victims were yet. I myself have not been in a good headspace with all of this. I have 2 teenagers. The suspect is a teenager. It's hard enough to be a parent, and so I'm processing this as a mother, as a potential elected official, and it's been difficult, I know, for all of us, and very difficult for me. I've been using that library. I've been in Chico for 28 years. I've taken my children there many times. My daughter is 16. She's a high school student at PV. She met her chemistry tutor there this past year. So I just don't know how much more tragedy this community can take, how much we can absorb. I know we're very resilient. I mean, I've seen it over and over again. And I know one question that Derek had prepared for us is what we like about Chico the most. And I can honestly say that I think not maybe what I like about it the most, but when I was most proud was after the campfire, how we all rose up and absorbed an entire community into our community, absorbed an entire hospital into our hospital, and I was so proud of all of us. So I told him I'd be here tonight. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm not necessarily happy to be doing this panel right now. So those are my thoughts, and I'm just with you all, and draw strength from one another, and really I think we just need to figure out maybe how we can support our teenagers better, differently, because something went wrong here. I don't know that there's necessarily anything any of us could have done, but we need to really support our young folks, and that's actually a part of my platform, is to support the most vulnerable people in our community, not only our children, but our seniors, along with our unhoused folks. So that's just point's been driven home in the past 24 hours. So.
Thank you, Megan. I guess I want to say too, at any point, if this is overwhelming, by all means, can step aside, and I really admire and respect you. Gotten to know you a little bit more over the past 6 hours, so I really appreciate you. Shelby, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't have children, but I love a lot of them, and have also brought kids to the library and been mistaken for the parent of kids that I've brought to the library, and have made friends with our librarians, and think they do such a good public service. So I was thinking of them initially. To be quite frank, it's Pride Month, and I always really appreciate that the library puts out a great display of books celebrating stories of the queer and trans community. And my hope was that this violence was not motivated by that display of stories that we need to hear more of. And I wish that Chico was immune from this national epidemic of gun violence, and we're not. But yes, also to Megan's point and to Derek's question, what I love most about Chico is Chicoans and the way that we care for each other and the way that we come together when folks are in need. And I would encourage everyone to lean into their own support networks, reach out to folks who they trust, because it's really easy in moments when we feel confusion or overwhelm or despair to isolate. And so I just want to encourage all of you to reach out and even if you don't know what to say, to just open the door to conversation for yourself and for your loved ones.
Thank you. Bryce, what's on your mind?
Well, very similarly, my first reaction to hearing about this was feeling like something that's in this national epidemic hits so close to home. Being like, this could be anybody at the library who could have been the victim that we first heard about, or then the second one, or even anybody that I know who works at the library, whether or not they were even harmed. I was immediately like, oh my gosh, my friends and I, we all know the librarians at this place. We know people who take their kids there. Like, are they okay? Did they just witness people being shot to death in front of them in a library? Like, just absolute horror. And also, at the same time, this feeling of like, I don't want to go outside and have people talk to me about it because I'm just going to start crying. But it's been a day. I know that the people that I know are safe physically, which helps, but it doesn't help the fact that we've lost community members, and I feel like we've lost a sense of safety. As Megan said, our community is resilient. We've endured huge disasters before, but this is just an entirely different type of disaster. This is domestic terrorism, frankly, but it's also coming from a young person. And then I've been questioning, like, what have we done that's led our youth astray? And there are so many thoughts on my mind. And also, I feel a sense of kind of powerlessness. You know, we're brought here as these powerful local leaders, but people can look to us for support, but what can we do and change? I don't know. So I am asking that not just as like a rhetorical, hopeless question, but a real question that I think we should think about is, what can our community do moving forward?
Thank you. I had a conversation earlier with someone about us being so used to this in America. It's almost like I'm surprised it hasn't happened in Chico yet. And that's, I think, what everyone across the country feels. I think everyone has a level of bravery in many ways living in this country, whether it's emotionally or physically. And I think the three of you really represented that and shown that from my point of view. The question I wanted to ask, since we're here, 24 hours later, the national response, usually by the Republican Party, is it's too soon. Can't talk about it too soon. Give your thoughts and prayers, and it's not appropriate to talk about gun policy or this epidemic. What do you guys feel about that in terms of the timing? I mean, it's different if you know somebody involved, of course, directly, but generally speaking, Shelby, what do you think about that? It's too soon to talk about kind of counter.
I think we have to talk about it. It's not too soon to start talking about it with your friends and loved ones and your own kids. Maybe it's too soon if your kids are little. It's our job to protect their sense of safety. But Yeah, we have to talk about it. We have to. There's no two ways about that. We have to talk about how we're feeling about it and process our own emotions about it. Because if we don't, that's you can't keep things like grief and anger and overwhelm and frustration inside and expect that to yield any kind of positive result. So we absolutely have to talk about this experience personally, about this experience as a neighbor, about this experience as a library goer, a lover of community spaces, someone who will continue to use the library. We have to talk about what these things mean for ourselves and our lives, and sit with the hard questions, because a lot of these questions aren't going to have answers right away, or maybe ever. And we have to sit with that. We have to ask ourselves these questions and sit with whatever answers we do or don't have, and continue to talk about them with one another, because that's the only way we might be able to make any progress that can heal our own community, but make a difference as well.
Yeah. Megan is someone who has a visceral, personal reaction to this. What's your answer to that question, the too soon question, both communally and I guess personally?
I have a couple of points. Number one, we should be talking about gun reform every day until it happens. So it's not too soon. I don't know if you've looked at the mass shooting every day. I don't know if you've looked at the mass shooting statistics so far in 2026. They are appalling. And that's one reason I did not want to meet today. I don't think that after something like this happens, we should be going about our daily lives like nothing has happened. And that's what we do now. So 2 people were murdered in our public library last night. And I did go out into public today, and I looked around and I thought, do people not know? Are we're just desensitized to this? And we need to be talking about this every day. California does have some of the strictest gun laws, gun policy, background check laws in the country. It still happens here. It doesn't happen as often, but it still happens here. So I as an attorney, as a constitutional law scholar, this falling back on the Second Amendment too is so misguided. When the Second Amendment was written, they fired muskets that they had to reload, and it took, our forefathers had they could not have conceived of the fact of firing 30 rounds a second, or, the speed at which some of these automatic weapons, they could not have conceived of this. So I'm one of those constitutional law scholars who believes that the Constitution is a living document that should grow with society, and I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, but it cannot be the basis for a gun policy now. It cannot. It's just not the same. They could not have conceived of this. So, yeah. I
agree. I will read off some of the details on California gun laws in a minute. Bryce, what are your thoughts on the too soon conversation? Anything to add?
Well, I agree with both of my colleagues here. It's never too soon to be in community talking about things and supporting each other. And so that's why I'm grateful to be here, even though it's hard. I respect everybody who feels different levels on that. And it's never too soon to talk about policy reform. We've been discussing it as a nation for a long time, and I don't claim to be an expert on gun reform. I mean, I grew up in Reading. My family would go to the shooting range, but that is a controlled environment. My family went through all the proper channels to get one gun that could not harm people, as you were saying, with 30 rounds per second. Like, I think that is, it's absurd that we're acting like sensible gun reform is an infringement on people's constitutional rights. That's really all I have to say, is that we need sensible reform.
I agree. Yeah, I'll read off the California gun laws. There are universal background checks in California, a mandatory 10-day waiting period. 21 is the minimum age, and requires a CCW license to carry a person. There are some prohibited things as well. Felons cannot own a gun, and some violent misdemeanors. Any domestic violence restraining orders, and people who've been convicted of domestic abuse cannot have a gun. Individuals with specific mental health conditions cannot have a gun, and then gun violence restraining orders. It's tough because we think we know some details, we don't necessarily. It does seem that there's a chance, or I don't know if it's verified or not, if this person had some mental health issues, some diagnosed ones. I guess I bring up our California laws, like you guys said, it can still happen. In this case, it's, parents, from what I'm can guess here, that have guns in the home, and then children have access to them, even if the kids might have some serious issues. That's what I'm piecing together, that what happened here. Maybe my question is, what else could we do legally, in your opinion, in California? Is there anything that comes to mind, or are we doing as much as we can?
Can I jump in and say that I think we just really have to think broader beyond gun control? Gun control is one aspect of it, but you've just read, we have sensible policy in California for the most part, but there are those issues like, what if a family has a gun in the house and a teenager gets access to it? And all that I know about the motive of this young person was basically, I don't even really want to talk about it, but it sounds like our media and our history of gun violence in the United States impacted this young person. And that tells me that we have a society that's, in my opinion, glamorizing violence. And we need to consider this. We need to consider what influences our young people, especially boys and men, are listening to on the media, on the internet. I'm seeing a lot of, frankly, toxic masculinity that's leading men to become more violent than ever with access to high-powered assault weapons. So I know I'm probably preaching to the choir in this room about things like gun violence and gun control and teaching our youth to respect one another. But I feel that on a nationwide level, this conversation needs to be holistic and involve all of those things.
Yeah. Is there anything that comes to mind specifically, like part of the holistic conversation? I guess you said.
Oh man,
yeah.
How do you regulate that from a policy level? I mean, I'm pretty anti-capitalist. I feel that the system that we have currently is part of the problem, where we're glamorizing people like Elon Musk for being super rich and having access to everything. Meanwhile, everybody at the bottom has basically no hope for upward mobility, no hope to buy a house or have resources when they get older. And not saying that it's like underprivileged people committing these atrocities or anything. I just think that America's youth, from my view, are in a really crappy place. And they're really susceptible to talking heads on podcasts and the internet who influence them to maybe go down some dark rabbit holes.
Yeah, I would also add that no one should have access to a weapon that can kill that many people that fast. No one. No one.
I agree.
Well, I don't think he used an automatic weapon here, so maybe that wasn't a good thing for me to bring up. I think he had a shotgun.
Talking about regulating guns at the national level, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Right.
Good measure.
again, I have a teenage boy, he's 14, and I have no idea what he's looking at online. There comes a point where you absolutely have to trust them. I think it does more damage to them to monitor, and this is where I am as a parent, to helicopter them. I am a helicopter parent, but I have to back off now and trust him. And I think that's where we as a community, we create a healthy environment for them when they're not on their phones. And that's what we're trying to do with this council, because I don't feel like our current council is really on board with creating the healthiest Chico we could have. That some of the policies that they've rejected have not been proactive or have made us take a step back as a community as opposed to going forward. So that is where I come from. When my kids are not on their phones, I try to create a healthy, loving, stable home environment, and that's what we need to do as a community. We can control that. We can. And like one of my favorite things that Hillary Clinton said was, it takes a village. You all are our village for the parents, whether you're parents or not. You're our village. Bryce has been to my house. She's part of the village that has helped with my children. So do not discount that when you're out and you're interacting with these teenagers, and they can be a lot, they can be dismissive and sullen, but you are a part of our Chico village and you can help, because it's very hard, next to impossible, to monitor what they're doing online. I could cut them off and then they'd be social pariahs. They wouldn't, and they do use it for good stuff. They do study groups with their friends online, but there is, I think, as a society, we just have some rot, and it starts from the top now. It starts from the top, and we have some huge problems that I don't know how we're going to solve. We don't have health care for everyone. We don't have housing for everyone. And if you don't, we have kids and families in this community that are food insecure, and that's getting worse. So children feel this, and children don't know how to process some of this stress. They don't have the tools yet. This was an 18-year-old boy, and I was reading on the National Institute of Health some things today about how long it takes for a man, for their brain to mature into your mid to late 20s. Some evidence that it's in your early 30s before you have a maturely functioning brain. So we really just need to nurture these kids for longer than maybe we think. And a healthy community is where we can start,
It's taken me until my 40s to have a mature
Thanks for your honesty, too. That's a mature viewpoint.
Well, yeah, there are some kind of terms that we hear a lot now, the male loneliness epidemic. Incels, which means involuntarily celibate, like men that, don't have a girlfriend or can't find one. Just the isolationism that the internet has brought to so many people. I do think this is kind of what's happening. This isolation, and like you said, Bryce, we're looking at all these wonderful things on Instagram or what have you, and we're listening to this manosphere. Yep. You need to behave this way and that way as a man, and that is quite toxic. So I think that is one of the big conversations to have. Did you have anything to add to what we were?
Yeah, well, that's why feminism is for everybody.
Because
men also need to be freed from the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Like to free women from the patriarchy would also be to free men from the patriarchy, and we all need that, and everyone would benefit from that.
I agree with that. And can I reflect on a couple things that my colleagues brought up? That's such a great point. And that's also why I was bringing up the anti-capitalist aspect of it, because I believe that those are strongly tied together, that oppressing women, oppressing the working class, and oppressing minorities has really disconnected people among all the other bad impacts. And it's led to such things as like the male loneliness epidemic, as we call it. And of course, women are lonely too. There's a lot of lonely people out there who are just working so hard to survive that, you know, our communities start falling apart. People start fighting each other instead of fighting the powers that are oppressing us. So wanted to reflect on that, but also Megan mentioned something about many things about a healthy community. And I think that hopefully later in this conversation, we'll talk a little more about what that could look like, of having a healthier, more well-connected community.
Yeah, I mean, we're about halfway through. Do you guys want to branch off and maybe talk about some more general things about Chico?
I would.
Yeah.
Megan, do you want to tell us more about your vision for a healthier community?
Well, one thing that I read about that I know, not this council, current council, but the council before that, rent stabilization for our mobile home parks came before them, and they rejected it. And I read in the paper yesterday or today that Tehama County supervisors are considering a rent. Yes, it's going before the Tehama County Board of Supervisors. And I thought, if Tehama County does this before Chico does, that's really saying something. So to me, that is something that needs to happen. Our mobile home parks are kind of one of the last tiers of being housed, and I know because I've talked to seniors that they're afraid to check their mail because they don't know when and if and how big their rents are going to increase. And these mobile home parks truly have a captive audience because a lot of the folks own the home but rent the land, and the homes are not mobile despite the name. And so these corporations that own some of these mobile home parks really do have a captive audience. And I think that's one place that I would like to start if I'm on council, is to bring that before council again and get some stabilization for our seniors that, and not just seniors, but folks that live in these mobile home parks. So, yeah.
Yeah, because we know that one of their part of addressing this crisis of homelessness, that this national issue that we're also experiencing locally, is keeping people housed, keeping people from becoming homeless. And if people are on a fixed income and their rents keep going up, that's a recipe for evictions. And so in District 2, where I am running to be the representative, Lassen, if you've ever driven up Lassen Avenue, all of that is in District 2. And if you want to help me knock on doors in District 2 where folks like this are living, let me know.
Yeah. And I did attend hearings, council meetings, and I think it went before Internal Affairs too, with not this council, but the last council. And some of the seniors that came forward said, you know, in the summer we're not running our AC. You know,
which, to be clear, is a threat to their health.
Yes. Yes. Which really kind of shook me. So that's somewhere where I want to start on council. So.
Yeah. Let's maybe stick with one of the questions was what's the most important issue the city faces today? Maybe we can dive into that a little bit, maybe specific to your districts or to Chico. I know you mentioned several things. The most important, quote unquote, Bryce, for you.
Well, I was hearing in that, tying into mobile home rent stabilization, Shelby's campaign is talking a lot about affordability, and that's something that I've experienced as a city council member, especially recently in our conversations on sewer rates. Maybe that alone is not what I see as the most important issue in Chico, but it is a pressing one currently, because people are paying so much for their housing and their PG&E bills and their Cal Water bills.
And their gasoline.
That too, and their food. Everything has gone up in price. But utilities have especially shot up in the recent past, especially PG&E. And so when one more bill goes up per month, even if we're trying to reduce the amount that it goes up, it's hitting everyone hard. So even though people think of Chico as maybe on the nationwide or California-wide scale as a pretty affordable place to live, affordability is a big one. I also have witnessed a lot of what I see as conflict around how Chico is going to grow as a community. So that, to me, is my personal biggest issue as a council member, is making sure that we make the right decisions so that Chico can grow to house the people who live here and their families, and people who move in also have the jobs that can support them, and also the infrastructure. And that ties into the sewer rates conversation and our roads and so many other things, because if we grow and we do things like build Valley's Edge or even other suburban neighborhoods without charging our developers enough impact fees to pay for the infrastructure, we're making everyone else pay for that. And we're not doing a good job of planning for our future.
Shelby, most important issue in your district?
Yeah, I think for the city as a whole, Bryce has touched on a lot of it, in my opinion, and it's just the budget and fiscal responsibility in general. The sewer is a huge part of it. The deferred maintenance of sewer has gone up and up and up and up. Like, some of these lines haven't received any maintenance since they were installed decades ago. We have ceramic pipes in some places in Chico. It's a similar situation with the roads. The quality of the system continues to decline while the deferred maintenance costs continue to rise. And we have had a council, we have a current council majority and have had this council majority that continues to put these things off rather than take a proactive approach and embrace their leadership responsibilities and take charge and do something about this, because the infrastructure and its maintenance is under the purview of the city, and it has an immense impact on the quality of life for Chicoans, whether it's driving bikes or cars on unsafe or unmaintained roads, or paying the rising costs of these utilities. The city absolutely has room to make improvements to the budget and to the infrastructure so that we're spending taxpayer dollars in ways that actually benefit Chicoans.
Megan, do you have a most important issue in your district?
Oh, well, I'm District 6, so for those of you who don't know, it kind of stretches along the eastern side of town, along the foothills, in the wildland-urban interface, a lot of it. So, of course, fire resilience, so it'd be great to have Shelby on council to help with that. And fire hardening are, issues for my district. And we do have some Firewise communities now, which I'd like to see extended all along.
What are those? Firewise?
Firewise communities. So you're certified. Shelby probably knows better than me. I've been trying to educate myself. I live in one now, and it's just a neighborhood that's proactive about keeping your yards trimmed and what else?
Yeah. A community that self-organizes and takes proactive measures to increase their community level resilience. You might think of having like a Chico Firewise community, but you also might have just the Firewise designation can come with as few as 8 buildings.
Right.
So on a rural road in a rural community, or an HOA or a mobile home park or something like that, that community can self-organize to form their own Fireways USA community. And of course, I can't make any promises, but in some cases, they are able to receive insurance deductions for improvements that they make to their individual homes and the shared community. So
That's just what I was going to say.
Yes.
Is our Little Chico Creek, anybody from our Little Chico Creek Firewise community here, they did a really great job organizing. So I'd like to see that extended along the eastern side of town, which is our most vulnerable. So that is a big issue for my district, obviously. One thing, and then I don't know if it's my district, but it's not just my district, it's all of Chico. But we have the new cancer center opening up. I just went to the the initial celebration last Friday, and one thing that I hope brings awareness to this issue, since we do have this huge cancer center that's opening that is state of the art and absolutely something that you're all going to be so proud of. But the reason why we need this cancer center in the first place is that Butte County has some of the highest cancer rates in the state of California.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes, 14% higher than the rest of California. Wow. Yes, yes.
What kind
Yes,
of cancer?
all kinds of cancer. But, and you'll have, yes, it's very, it's a sobering thing to think about, but that's one of the reasons why this cancer center is here, because our cancer rates are so high. So as a community, we need to look, I'm a root cause kind of person. I don't like to just treat symptoms, and I like to dig deeper and, find out what are the root causes. They have to be environmental. Let's identify some of these root causes and try to, again, get our community healthier.
It's great to hear.
Can I add something on the healthy communities aspect that we were talking about earlier? I wanted to note, we were talking about basically people being lonely, isolated, and then communities being healthier. And I wanted to tie that into my previous response on basically how our community grows. And we just need to keep that in our minds too, for making sure that our community has the places where people can gather, it has the street infrastructure, and we maintain that infrastructure like Shelby was talking about, so that people can get where they need to go, whether that's to the grocery store or their friend's house, regardless of if they're driving a car, if they're walking, if they're using transit or riding a bike or pushing a stroller. The connectivity in our community is so valuable, and sometimes that gets forgotten in the way that new neighborhoods are built or even old neighborhoods are maintained. So I wanted to tie back when Megan reminded me about healthiness.
On that note, one of the questions was, what would you like to see in Chico 5 years from now that isn't currently here? Do you have a specific answer for that?
Oh, a lot of things. In the planning realm, 5 years is like a blink of an eye.
Right.
So I have to be kind of realistic here. While I would love to see a train that gets us to Sacramento, I think a frequent bus would be a wonderful thing. Better, more frequent transit service. I just saw Tammy Ritter back there, county supervisor. We're working at the county level at Butte County Association of Governments on making that more of a reality for our folks in Chico. And, I think it's a stretch to say that we'll get downtown improved streetwise in 5 years, but we can get some other roads repaved. We can get more bikeways, safer access to schools for kids who walk and bike. So I'm a transportation planner, in case you can tell. My mind is going to that all the time.
Shelby, do you have a 5-year vision?
Yeah, affordable housing. The average home price in Chico is about $450,000.
Jesus, and what
Probably
was it?
more.
What was it before
like
COVID?
the average.
Yeah.
And if we continue to build housing at a price point that's higher than, and some of these homes are still 100 years old,
Mm-hmm.
And need a lot of care and investment, and that's not something that young first-time home buyers have access to usually. so we have to, one of the things I love about Chico is that we're all here, not just wealthy people, not just able-bodied people, not just young people, not just people hitting their stride in their career, all kinds of people. We're all here together. Right. And if Chico is going to be a place where the sort of next generation of Chicoans will be able to either arrive or stay and see themselves thriving. If you're, affordable housing is defined as housing that costs a third or less of your monthly income. So if most people my age and younger, I know, are paying more than that. They're paying about half of their monthly income on rent. And a lot of these people still have roommates and are sharing the rent cost. So if this trend continues, we are going to price out young people and early career people and people who are at an age where they're having children. And we will be a town that whose demographics change. And I want to be able to afford to live in Chico in 5 years. I have no prospects of home ownership in my future. And I still want to try to make it work. And I want people like me to also be able to live in this place where they love and not feel like they're priced out and have to move somewhere else. So I think when we think about affordable housing and home affordability, I will tell you, young people are getting more creative about that and looking beyond the single family dwelling and looking at things like like condos and townhomes and apartments, and really thinking about ownership in that way, because we also really value community connection in a way that I think a lot of you do, and so much so that you came to visit and stayed like I did, or came to visit a friend and accidentally never left. And so, young folks are really leaning into interdependence quite frankly, as a survival strategy. And when we know our neighbors and we cook for each other and we run into each other at the grocery store or at our friend's local business downstairs, that to me sounds like a community that I want to be a part of, and where there are all kinds of people and they're all connected to one another. So a part of that vision coming to life depends on affordable housing.
I love that. Megan, you have a 5-year vision?
Well, I just wanted to follow up, and if I weren't on camera up in front of you all, I would have been Googling like crazy, which is what I like to do when I have questions to verify my what I'm trying to say. But I did read recently that the first-time ownership average age in California is 40 years old now. 40 years old. That's not Chico specific, that's California specific, which is absolutely a mind-boggling statistic. I think in 5 years, a few things. I've really been treating this candidacy as an education. And I've been learning about Chico, even though I've been here for 28 years and have been volunteering, and I'm on my 7th year as a Bidwell Park and Playground Commissioner. And I was on a previous commission also, so I'm my 10th year as a commissioner. I started out as a rape crisis counselor in town when I was studying for the bar exam, and was on the rape crisis board, and I've been on a little league board. I've just tried to kind of spread myself around. But I've been treating this like an education, and one thing I have learned and I would like to see is a little diversification of resources for our unhoused folks. I've been learning about why some of these folks don't like to go into group shelters, and a lot of them are women and have been traumatized or victimized there. So I would like to see us work on something else that would be amenable to some of those folks that don't like a group setting or can't, or physically, mentally cannot endure one. I would also like, yeah, I would also, and I know Tammy's been working on this, we need more mental health resources. We need them desperately, and we need addiction recovery resources in town. That we're talking about, I like to talk about root causes. If we have these resources for folks, and maybe they can get help, maybe they can get treatment, maybe then they will be able to maintain a place to live and pay bills and a job and won't be living on the streets. And maybe a child, a teenager, when he's feeling desperate, will have a place to go or a place to call or someone to talk to if he feels hopeless, because that's how that young man must have felt yesterday. Because I'm sure that in his mind, one of the possibilities was that he was not going to come out of that alive. So there has to be quite a bit of hopelessness. And if we had a well-known, well-established place to go to call when you're feeling those feelings, or when you've gone off your medication and you need to get back on track, I really would like to see those resources.
Well said.
Yes.
We have time for one or two more questions here. Bryce, what's something that people are not talking about enough in Chico?
Oh, this is the one of your questions that I was like, I don't think I know. So I think I'm going to ask these folks first. Maybe it'll come to me.
Sure, yeah.
I would say the Master Forest Plan. It was defanged a few years ago. Any capacity that it had to enforce or regulate. Let me tell you one example. So in the Urban Forest Master Plan, it might say something like, developers are required to ensure 10% canopy cover, which is modest. I don't quote me on that. I don't think that's what it says. I'm illustrating an example. The Urban Forest Master Plan might say a developer is required to ensure 10% canopy cover. It now says the developer may use or may cover up to 10%. So whenever we talk about a town that is safe and healthy and livable and attractive 5, 15, 25, 35 years from now, it's going to necessarily include a plan to address what will continue to be a health crisis driven by extreme heat. And if we have to start planning 10 years ago for that upcoming crisis. And so trees, trees are so lovely and so important. They're essential. They keep the physical space around it cool. Yeah, you all know, you live here. It is the summer. You can't tell me you're not shade hopping on your walk downtown. So it's good for you. It's good for anyone who's spending any amount of time outside. We know that trees and healthy green spaces are critical parts of children's development. Their psychological, emotional, physical development. So I would love to see people talking more about trees and about green spaces and about what we can do to not only keep them healthy, but to develop a short, medium, and long-term plan to make them more resilient into the future.
Love it. Megan, do you have an answer to that question?
Yeah, of course. This is great. I was actually on the Urban Forest Master Plan Working Group. I was appointed by Richie Bamlett, our urban forester, And we worked for 2 years on this thing, people from all sorts of agencies, state agencies, experts from everywhere. And he appointed me because I was on the Park Commission. And because I'm a lawyer, and I guess I'm not sure why else. But it was a really great experience, and it is an encyclopedic document. It has I think it's a 30-year plan. And just an assessment of all the different trees we have in town and all the areas that need trees. And you can find it online, and it's a really cool document that the city paid a lot of money for. And we do need to get back in, and maybe we could put some fangs back in, or at least maybe some dentures in where
That's fine.
something.
Let's go for that.
But it's a really cool document, and if you don't know our urban forester, we are very lucky to have him. He loves trees. I love trees. It's one of the cool parts about the Park Commission. We get to help make decisions about city trees too. So I agree with you, and it's a really fun and important document, and when we get it going again and we adhere to it, it's going to make Chico a better, healthier, shadier, lovelier place.
Excellent.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bryce.
no, that was great. Yeah, climate change. That's mine.
Yeah.
You don't think about what you're not thinking about, and sometimes you're not thinking about it because it's really depressing and horrifying. I studied climate change in college. That was my emphasis area, and the main thing that I learned was that, well, we're probably not going to solve it, and a lot of people are going to suffer and die in the world. But not to be the bearer of bad news and all that, we also have hope at the local level of being in a community where we have a wonderful urban forest. We have spots to cool off and go swimming. Like, these are some of the things that I was going to talk about with the what's your favorite thing about Chico question, so I hope you weren't sneaking that one in at the end, but I'm sure I have more. But yeah, climate change needs to be talked about more. We need to protect all of those things from losing the water in our aquifers and killing our trees that provide shade. We need to protect our people from extreme heat. And in a broader sense, we need to consider, like I talked about, transit and biking and such, on a state and nation and worldwide level. We need to consider how policies that affect, transportation and housing and industry can affect our climate, because there are going to be things beyond our control. But in Chico, we're lucky enough that we do have things within our community and within our control that we should be talking about at a city level. But not to go on for too long, I moved to Chico about 10 years ago, and my first job here was working for the city of Chico doing climate action plan outreach. And we couldn't put more people on our sustainability task force to direct me and give me work to do because the mayor didn't believe in climate change. So let's do better than that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do the last question here, and then we may even have some time to open up questions to the audience. This could be very practical or more ethereal. What is the most unifying issue that you see in Chico? We started off this conversation, of course, talking about guns, and that seems to be one of the most divisive issues in Chico and across the country. In your opinion, in a community like this that is so purple or red and blue. What Shelby, what do you find to be the most unifying issue in town?
I wish I could say the downtown revitalization project.
I wish too, Shelby.
Like 12 businesses in 1 year closed. Like, how do we not all agree that downtown needs investment? How do we not all agree that?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could say that. Yeah, you'll have to come back to me.
Okay.
Can
Anyone
I
else?
build on that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, my response is actually going to be transportation, and that might surprise you because we saw so much drama over the downtown revitalization project. But I also saw a lot of community building around that because, yes, We saw the divisive top-down narrative that tries to split people on issues like bikes versus cars. The thing is, at the community level, when you talk to people, even if they had concerns about the downtown project as proposed, pretty much everybody agrees that they want to be able to cross the street safely and that they want our roads repaved and functional, and that they want their kids to be able to walk on a safe sidewalk to school. So investment in our transportation network can be a really unifying issue once you get to the root of it and maybe get rid of all that clutter pushed down to us by the Republican Party.
Megan, is there something? What's the issue to you that unifies Chico most?
Can I
Well,
help with this?
yeah, I mean, I don't know what
Okay.
happened to my mic. It
Oh, I
seems
gotcha.
to be deflating.
You're getting picked up. It's fine.
Okay.
Stressing
I
me.
do have a loud voice. I think, and I'm speaking from experience here, that Bidwell Park is one of our unifying aspects. And I'll tell you that my 7th year on the Bidwell Park and Playground Commission, we hardly ever are split on votes on a party level. But I do know that we all love that park. And not just Bidwell Park, but we have so many nice parks in Chico. And I think we're all on board with having safe, healthy, clean spaces for us, for our children, for our seniors, for our apartment dwellers who do not have a nice yard. That is their recreation space. These are our gathering spaces. And since I've been in Chico, I really think that we all love our parks. We all love our playgrounds. It's fun to sit on this commission and see everybody get on board. Really, and to have the community come and tell us all the things they love and they don't love, and that's one of the things too that just kind of building on this, that not this past council but the council before neutralized our commissions, and I think that they can be a really valuable tool in our city government and in our community. We have volunteers. Lots of experts there volunteering their time. So, but yes, clean, safe parks.
Love it.
Great part of Chico.
This
Yeah.
was an immense and memorable honor to sit with the three of you and talk today. Thank you so much for doing that. Please give the panel a round of applause.
Thank you, Derek.
What's that?
Thank you,
I
Derek.
said thank you, Derek.
Oh, my pleasure. We will be doing these as much as we can, once a month. We have a page on Spotify and YouTube. You can listen to these and watch these podcasts. The DACC cast, it's DACC cast, so you can go check all the stuff out online. I'm going to pass the mic back over to Rich here, and everyone is free to go have a seat. And here you go, Rich.
That was amazing. One person made a comment, had to leave a few minutes early, but made the comment on her way out the door that, in her opinion at least, this was exactly the right thing to do, it turns out. So I appreciate you all. And I am also very appreciative of Senator Mike McGuire, who is joining us tonight. He's our candidate for Congressional District 1, and we're very pleased to have him here, and I know he wanted to address the topic at hand and share, again, be part of this community with us. So, Senator McGuire.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me all right? First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight and on such a really challenging time for the community. It is a tragedy beyond words. I think that we can all agree. I think what we can also agree on is that our hearts are with the victims' families. And Chico and the North State has been through so much over the years. Am I right? And this is just yet another. And there is nowhere that is stronger than this community. And at the heart of it are each and every one of you. And I want to say how grateful I am to be with you here tonight. I'm just going to be very short, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Chair. I also want to acknowledge this amazing panel of women leaders who are going to lead this city into a progressive majority in this I would also be remiss if I did not acknowledge Supervisor Ritter for her incredible work and talk about amazing women leaders in this community. I just want to say thank you so much, Supervisor Ritter. You are the strength that we need right now, and very grateful for your work. Please give her a round. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Chair in less than 2 minutes, because I know all of us want to be able to go to the vigil this evening at the library. I just want to say, coming out of this election, I know that there are differing opinions, but I'm really firm in my belief, especially as Democrats, there's more that unites us than divides us. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you who supported our campaign, and to each and every one of you who supported Audrey Jennings' campaign. I will work just as hard for each and every one of you. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to Audrey Jennings, who has been the heart of this party. Absolutely. She's been the heart of this party here on the North State for her incredible dedication, not just to our region, but to our democracy. And I'll wrap it up with this. I also want to say thank you so much to DACC for your support and endorsement. I'm grateful. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. But the time to talk about what's coming up this fall is not tonight. The time for tonight is to be able to focus on what this community needs, and that's being together and how we can support one another. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you in the weeks and months to come. Thank you so much.
So I'll add my thank you to Shelby, Bryce, and Megan, as well as to Derek for doing a masterful job of handling a difficult task. We opened tonight with a moment of silence, and we won't close that way, but I would encourage you all, as I said at the beginning, we're kind of setting aside normal sort of DACC business for all the obvious reasons. It did feel important that we be, those of us who needed and wanted to be in community tonight, had that opportunity. Of course, the vigil coming up is the next opportunity to show our support for these families who have suffered the unimaginable tragedy that they have. So I appreciate that you are in community with us tonight. I hope you'll stay in community with each other and with this DACC family going forward. And in the future, as I said at the beginning, the only way to get to where we want to go is through. And so I think that's what we're about. And so with that, I'll close things. We have a little bit of time, and the vigil is at 8 o'clock. We have some time that if you want to stay and talk or say hello to friends, please do so. But if not, I totally understand if the time is to just make your way out. So again, thank you all for being with us tonight. Thanks.